Hey guys, what's going on? So we're going to do some back testing now on, well, we'll pick some random pairs, and let's do GBP USD. So essentially what we'll do is we'll go back and select a random piece of time, and we'll clear that off. And what we'll do is, let's just come up here and zoom out a bit. Let's just pick a random piece of time down here. And where is my, oh there it is. Okay, so let's say 2020. I have back tested this before though, but it's okay. I don't think it's a matter of have I back tested it before, it's a matter of what can we gather from the information that we do. And I think this is just a bit of a fun task, but you need to make sure it's applicable for what you're doing. In this case, I'm just going to be talking about high probability and low probability and how I kind of just filter through it. So essentially, looking at this, I would be looking at this sort of section here and just being like, okay, well, we clearly have an near miss to the low here. However, there is the possibility we can revisit this area before we come to this area here, but the near miss is over here. So what I'll be doing now is I'll just be evaluating for this for a trade, going into the daily, and essentially just kind of looking at what we have. So over here we can see on the daily, we just, you know, we've moved up, we've tapped into this, we have a clear rejection over here. In terms of an entry on the daily, you could argue there was a trade here, but come on, you know, do you want to take that trade? You'll be sitting there for such a long time before you see a significant amount of profit. Let's wait and see. So we have some structure developed right over here. We have to call the entry missed now, only because tapped into the area. Could have easily been a break even though if the trade was taken. And yeah, we've seen that liquidity spike push up, took up price, tapped into this zone here, and we pushed down. So quite interesting. And we had that. So I would be looking for some sort of flagging territory over here. I don't think I can use the 15 and I'm not going to risk it, so I'm just going to stay on the hourly and look for entries. Going in here closer, we can wait in anticipation for an entry, and over here we can see that we do have this level of a larger flag potentially forming over here. So I will simply just tag on the ray line here and call this the bottom, two bottoms, looking for that top, wait for the next candle, not yet ready, and do we get it? Doesn't look like we quite got the entry there, and it sold off. Completely fine. You know, sometimes you have to accept the fact that there was no trade, and it's better than just, you know, putting all your eggs in one basket. Perhaps maybe with a refinement there could have been a trade in there. Wasn't for me. Going into the next one, just going to wait now in anticipation. We haven't really tapped into the low, and I wouldn't keep this trend line there. I'd be looking at something in this region over here, and essentially I'd be waiting to see how price can actually tap into this low before we kind of see anything. So give it some time to develop, and we possibly have structure developing as we speak. Oh, okay, this is interesting. So we didn't quite tap into the low, but we pushed up aggressively at this point. Go back to the 4 hour, we can see that we have a very strong momentum to the upside. Looking at it on the daily, this is becoming one larger correction, kind of looking more like a pennant, inverted, sort of expanding to the upside. So let's just look at this on a higher time frame now, and we'll just see how this develops. It is looking more so like this, but I'll have to wait and see. And yeah, we've broken there, we've pushed all the way back in. That is a phenomenal area for an entry right there. I have to say, wow, honestly, I can't believe I missed that. But sometimes we miss them. Good trade right there. I'll tell you what I was looking at. So, and that was obviously a lot of time. I mean, really and truly, you probably would have had your charts a lot more cleaner. So what we can see over here is we have this 1, 2, 3 in this area here, should on just like that, and then you'd mark on this level over here, and you'd see it so much. Over here we can see we pushed above, and we retraced. At that point of that retrace, you could have looked for entry. There was entries on the lower time frames there, but we're not too fixated on that at the moment, and you'd be in for this trade. In terms of management, I think at this point here you would have been aggressive and you would be out for about 5.35 or a little bit more or less, but 5.35 is the trade, and that would have been it. So obviously at this point here we didn't actually take the trade, but seeing it now here in hindsight, the trade was completely there. You know, I think drawing these lines on can also get tricky. You know, you're always just trying to evolve it. You don't need this trend line. You need to keep it very simple. We had a liquidity area here. We didn't quite get it. That's why I think as well I would have maybe missed that trade, but we can see that we pushed up, we retraced, and then in here there was probably some lower time frames and we got some massive commitment. I would not be surprised now if we either saw larger correction to the downside or a full retrace. So that's something that I'll be looking at, and just to kind of draw it out for a forecast, I'd be looking at something like that. And then it just kind of fulfills something like that and continues, or we just sort of create, we sort of push up, create this sort of flag here, and then we go. But let's just wait and see what happens. More likely we're going to push and create this flag at this point. Come on, are we getting it? And we got the commitment to the low, so that is also completely fine. There was this little area of liquidity here, but looking at this, it was just a bit sharp. You know, you can see that there was that little area of liquidity that we tapped into, correctively squeezed up and then sold off. But like I said, with that sharp push down, it wasn't the sort of trade I wanted to just kind of opt into, and I'm happy with that. Now we're kind of trading below to that low. It's funny because you have to remember you're not always going to have pairs on watch. So this pair may have not have been on watch for ages, but now that we're coming into this low here, you'd be opting in to have it on watch. So looking at it very carefully, we can just zoom out to the 4 hour or daily, doesn't really matter, and we can wait. So just let a few candles play out, and here we are. There was some sort of correction in there, not bothered. Go to the 1 hour, we're trading below. I'm looking for a solid push up and a flag. Not really concerned what happens under here. There we go. So we're getting the push up now. I'll be anticipating looking for a 1 hour flag, and it's not really coming together right now. Oh, interesting. You see, now this is where sometimes it can get very tricky, because you look at this on the daily, we came from this high, we're trading this expanding, we are moving in a very corrective nature. There's a flag on the low probability, right? When we look at this, what makes this high probability? Well, if we had, okay, let me just retake this. So if we tapped into the high, we pushed down, and we created a clear flag like that, which one would you more opt into? Would you opt into this, or would you opt into this? Right? Instantly you're going to opt into this one, right? Because it's clean, it's easy to capture in a sense, compared to this massive mess. We didn't really catch the trade, we missed it, and it just committed without us, and there wasn't really much opportunity. And in a very good run, usually you'll get sort of correction, another entry, another entry, another entry, commitment, another entry, you know, and you got abundance of opportunities in it. But sometimes when they're so corrective like this, or so impulsive and not very entry given, sometimes there's something bigger happening. And at this point here, I can see that, you know, this is not looking like my typical sell. So could be coming back up for an arc, but I think in this region, looking for a buy is not really necessarily a bad idea. Understand though, we could see a short position from this and it could just sell off. So we have to monitor it very carefully. But if I am looking for a trade, I'm looking for it to clear all of that, create something down here, and I would go in for the long short. But let's wait and see. And no surprise, we are looking like we are pushing up higher. So over here there is actually a trade, not the highest of quality trades once again, because where are we coming from? We're not coming from a clear push up and a flag into continuation. We're actually coming from a corrective move. So what does this happen? This could actually just be a part of one big corrective move. So once again, that's a low probability trade. What could make this higher probability? Well, in my personal opinion and experience, what would make this higher probability is this clearing all of this price, creating something in this region, and we're good. We've cleared all of this corrective area, and it looks like we're playing the range again. and then we can start with target 1, target 2, and so forth, and we reset. So look at it like that. But wouldn't be surprised if we get some level of commitment from this area, just would be lower quality of trade. And understand that, you know, you could have taken a break even there and then it committed without you. Now if we start getting something here, this is where I'll be interested. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And this high is irrelevant compared to this low. See, this low is very significant. This high is not as significant, but yes, it holds some weight, but we'll have to wait and see. Looking at this here, we even had a near miss, which sometimes is the market giving us a signal that, you know, we could actually be revisiting or pushing through. This push down and a small correction, it's not really your typical sort of AFT entry as well, so don't get sucked into that. And let's wait and see. And yeah, we can see here, so very corrective, not giving me the best of entries. Oh, here we are. So we can look at it over here. That's the high, obviously, and we're going to trade into that high now. So do we have enough room if we took a retrace candle or even a push and a flag? Looks like there'll be more than enough room. Let's wait and see. I wouldn't take that personally. There's still the room for this sort of price. I'll just give it some room to breathe, let it do its thing. Here we are now. Now this is looking like it could be turning around. So it's still very corrective. I wouldn't really jump into that. Definitely an insurance push and a flag. And we didn't quite get it, you know. The retrace is some level off there, but it's not your cleanest as well. You could just be tagged in and out, understand the risk that comes with it. Let's wait and see. And it's just become one big corrective move. Not your typical entry as well there. Wasn't easy to capture. Perhaps on the 4-hour perspective we can see if there was some sort of opportunity. Not really at all. And just give this time to develop. It's coming back down to the low. Let it do its thing. Let's see. Okay, now we're at the low. We'll go back to the 1 hour and let's see if we can play the long. Okay, so there is that sort of corrective move there. Like I said, not really your typical move. We're looking at this to kind of just impulse up. I would like to see it kind of clear this price, and if we're above here and we create something with an impulse, that'll be good. And yeah, cool. Once again, it's, you know, the thing is, I'm looking for these flags and they're not as clear, but when they do become clear, that's when you're going to be capitalizing, honestly. So this as well is a hard one because you can't really draw your line in the sand here, but it does look like we could have a short play into the next low. Could we be coming into this low here? Bear in mind that we are in this kind of very corrective squeeze. You know, how have we approached this trend? We've approached correctively. There was the retrace candle there. I think now that we've actually come back in there, there's the retest. So I'm lucky that this is coming back over here because I could take this and I would be happy. Obviously we do have a little inflection point here. I think this is still good quality trade. Let's have a little look how it plays out. And it was tagged out, so let's call that a 1% loss at that point. And we did take a 1% loss. We could probably see this kind of just squeeze. We did tap into, not really. We're still in this area, and now we've actually gone off with a commitment. These happen. It's just probability. Sometimes they play, sometimes they don't. And just understand that it's a sequence. You know, we didn't quite tap into that. I would have waited. If I saw it kind of hit into that, I would have looked for it. But anyway, we are coming down into the downtrend at this point. Let's wait and see if we get any entries. And here it looks like something is shaping up. Maybe a reduced risk entry could be on the table. Yeah, it's looking like it could be a risk entry. Let's have a wait and see. Okay, so we've created these two bottoms. Now do we come back up? Yes, perfect. That's the entry right there. So I don't know if I'll be able to, yeah, I won't be able to refine. Oh, right. Okay, anyway, that's the entry over here. You could look for that. You could even take it here. Let's just say that you went for the more risk adverse entry, you took a 26, and you basically took your first trade, well, second trade, you've made your 1% back, and now you've taken it to the low, and you're running about 4%. At this point here, you have to ask yourself the question, like, is it probable, or is it probable that price is going to come up, right? And you would have asked yourself this way before. We've moved in with an impulse. We could correct and continue to the downside. Looking at the higher time frame structure should not be forgotten. We can continue playing. So what's the most sensible thing to do? Protect your capital. Protect it. How would I protect this? I'm going to go 50%. So I'm going to put it around about here, and then we're going to wait and see. If we get a retrace, we get a retrace. It is what it is. Let's wait and see. Yeah, it was tapped just out, and wouldn't be surprised now if we do get this sell-off. But anyway, I've come out of the market. I'm about 1.37% up on my account, and I'm just going to wait and see. And we're getting some sort of structure over here. Wouldn't be surprised now if we tap just above. Come on, a little bit more. Come on, we can get back there. Yes, okay, cool. So we're in this area now where this isn't our typical sort of push up straight rejection. You know, it looks like we're stalling for good reason. I want to see if we can actually just retrace back under this area and see if we can get an entry. That's what I'm interested in now. So I'm going to be looking at this very carefully, and let's have a little look. Looks like we are creating a tight flag to continue to the upside, and we are going to the upside. Some small corrections there, another one, and here we go. So we've tapped into this section here. We've got a decent retrace, but with this momentum to the upside, it doesn't look like something you want to be selling. Really, do you want to sell that? Not really, not at this point. I want to wait for something a little bit more significant. A lot of the entries would have been clearer to see and filter through on the lower time frames. However, we don't have the opportunity right now. We have to deal with what we have, and there is this opportunity here. So we had this, and we have this retrace. Would I take a retrace on this? Probably not. It's possible it will really play out, but probably not. Risk tagging in and out, in and out. Don't want to take that chance. And we look at probabilities again. Remember, impulsive action. We don't want to be trading against that. We move this to the next point, which is just here. And we can see that now we've broken that. This actually is a little bit more interesting at this point, and I think looking at this, I'm interested to see what happens if we can retrace back down, maybe even make our way back down. Doesn't look like it. It looks like we are going to aggressively make our momentum to the upside. Are we looking at, well, any flags above here? All good, honestly, all good. Let's have a little look, and we zoom in a little bit more, and let's wait and see. Okay. Oh, nah, not clear at all on the 1 hour. I wouldn't have taken that trade. I wouldn't have been able to. You know, it's just a missed trade there. I mean, not a missed trade. It's just completely no trade. Interesting how we tapped into this. No, we haven't fully tapped into it, but we near missed it, which we did before, and then we saw we gravitated to it with aggression. So let's have a little look if we can do that one more time. If we come back into this low, I could potentially see an entry. We're coming back up to the high. Oh, there we go. Let's see, next candle will dictate a lot, but we haven't really. Yep, here we go. So next candle, retrace. Okay, next one. There we go. That's the trade. Trade is now set. Take that. So 56, 2% to the high, but we might push through with aggression and continue. Let's have a wait and see. Ooh, oh, I think it's not looking good. Yep, and we've broken through, taking a 1% loss there. Currently running 3.7% profit. You know, obviously this is a lot of time on the trade there, so we've got to still wait and see. And it looks like we're not getting any commitment whatsoever. Got to wait. We are gravitating back down to the low. These are the times where you have to really ask yourself, what is the sort of trade I'm going to be looking for? Well, we have a strong push away now. If we get this flag, this will be probability. So you can see that a lot of the times I'm forecasting things, but I'm not getting them. It's just what you have to deal with. And will we get the trade? There is a trade there. I mean, you could stop crop this completely. You could fully stop crop that and take the trade right here. And just kind of read between this. However, it's not clean. It's not what I'm looking for. I was looking for something a little bit better. Didn't get it. Didn't take it. At this point here, we've cleared this low. This is where you're going to be looking for some solid entries, guys. So we know we are looking at the downside. We are trading the larger expanding. Let's have a wait and see. Do we get that flag? And it looks like yes, we are. And if we tap into this section here, this is where I will be looking at the trade. Oops. We didn't tap into that, but we're creating something just below it. And no, again, didn't quite create it. Have to be a bit more patient. Could be a little bit larger than expected. Nope. And there we go. So there was this, but comes with a bit more risk as well. We're just correctively making our way lower. I suppose, you know, the trade could have been angled a little bit like so. Not my type of trade, honestly. I'm looking for something a little bit more my style. Everybody develops their style over time, and when it comes, and you'll profit from it. So let's wait and see. Now we're at this significant low. This is exactly where we want to be priced in the market. This is exactly what we want to be looking for. This is where you want to wait in anticipation to see how price develops. Now, looking at it on the daily, we did move down with a strong impulse. We are looking for price to impulse back up before we take short, but we could be selling off more, so let's just wait. And this sort of flag below the low is not what I'm looking for, because we're at a very significant value area. I'm going to be waiting, and there we go. We have an expanding at the low, which sometimes works as a reversal to the upside. So do not be surprised if we see this start pushing up very aggressively. Price stalling in this area is actually a very good sign for the upward momentum. We're just building a lot of price. We are trading in this very corrective price though, and I wouldn't really want to get involved in this range. I would want to wait to see, take a message from the market. So let's wait till this range is broken. And now we've cleared the range. Any flags in this area on the hourly, I'll be more than happy to take. And we could get a little bit more aggressive with this for sure in this area. I think, you know, here we go. Just missed it. But yeah, so, you know, this would be more than enough in my opinion. A little bit premature. However, you could take that with, I mean, really and truly, no, it's not part of the plan. You know, we're looking for this. If we get this, this is what we're going with. If we don't, it is what it is. And we'll wait. We didn't quite get that. Looking for two bottoms, two tops. Do we create something larger? Possibly. Now we don't get what we're looking for just yet. Giving it some time. This candle is really consolidating. At this point, this becomes so neutral because price is just correcting at this point. So this overall move is becoming more and more corrective as time goes on. Just have to wait. There we go. So perfect timing. And we've tapped into this area here. This is basically just a part of this larger move that we might be looking at. We have two tops, two bottoms now. Top wasn't really tapped into, but the near miss is near enough good. Let's wait. And there we go. So we have just tapped in, we've broken below, and we've pushed up. If we get one more of these candles, it'll be more than enough for me. Let's just wait and see. Okay, not yet. Here we go. That's the trade. So I will be looking at this, taking it, keep it a little bit more. Yeah, 55 is good. to the high, we could be sizing up 4%, and then we'll have to see where we go from there. So let's go with that. Ooh, almost taken out there. That was close. It's very close. I wouldn't be locking in break even straight away at this point. I think what I would do is I'll move my stop loss just halfway. And yeah, I think I'd be tagged out just there for 0.5%. It is what it is. I mean, the thing is, sometimes, you know, what happens is price will just come down a little bit, tapping over here, and then go. It is what it is. We still have to stay sharp though, because we can still get an entry. So don't let one of those little losses burn you out. Just keep your head in the game. Now let's see, we have this little liquidity zone down here as well if we do start to decline. And yeah, we're over here, we're creating this, which is interesting. But what have we come from? We've come from a correction as well. So we went from a correction into a correction, which makes it a little bit lower probability. Wouldn't be surprised if we see this go to the upside. Just got to give it some time. There was this sort of error, but no, once again, not my type of trade. Not always the easiest. There is this. So reduced risk entry could definitely be on the table here for me. You can see that. And there's also the potential for another trade coming up. Okay, so now we've actually got to this high. You can actually see. I'll just minimize this so it's out of the way. Management, let's just say we leave it over here, locking in about nothing, and we move forward. Aggressive management. Still looking for entries, you know, not worried about this position at all. This, yeah, I'll lock in about 1%, leave it at 1, and keep going. And what we're trading into, so we do have these sort of inflection zones here, liquidity, I don't think I'm bothered about that. It looks like a clear run to the upside. There could be some stunning opportunities in the way here, so stay sharp for that. Management doesn't need to be too aggressive, but there we go. So we were out for 1%. Where did we run to? We ran to about 3%, perhaps maybe 1.5 would have been out. Call it 1.3 out of the market here, and yeah, we could be up roughly around about, what is it, 1.6 now at this point. Then we'll look at that, and we'll look for something larger to be created at this point. There isn't really much else you can really go with. I think 4 hours is a good time frame to be on at this point, because it's just getting a bit messy. Clear off everything on the charts, and let's just wait and see what sort of structures develops. Larger structure zone for sure. And we did miss that trade quick. Let's just zoom that back a bit actually and have a quick look if there would have been a good entry in there hourly. Yeah, for sure. Oh, look at that. We didn't quite tap it though, but we did get near enough, create a pin bar. You could have easily actually just taken a trade here. Slapped it on there. It's a shame I missed it. I was kept it quick, lack of patience. And yeah, so the trade's there. Is there any more trades on the way? Could have argued a point there was a trade in there, and then now as we approach that low, we get less aggressive and more aggressive. And yeah, could have easily been. Wait for one more push up. If we get this completion of this, we could look for a short position. Wait and see. Oh no, we got a drop off. Okay, cool. That's completely fine. Management wise, I'd be more aggressive at this point. Probably locking in around about 3.25 forward. And we're coming into our next price target zones down here. Once again, I'll get more aggressive. Probably going to lock in around about that much. And easily taken out. So 3.9. So now we're running roughly around about 5.5, I believe. And yeah, so just to kind of summarize things, you know, you can kind of see the momentum of how we would be going with this. We'd then be looking at price to actually still fill this. So until price gets here, we're just waiting now unless we get structure. And there's nothing really jumping out at this point. So patience is.
Yeah, amazing guys. So just wanted to basically wrap up the video there. Essentially what you could kind of see is that, you know, we didn't get that many entries, which is very, very normal. You know, sometimes you may not take trades for days, you may not trade takes for weeks, but we're looking at one pair. So it may not have been on watch for quite some time, but when it does come on watch, you have to be ready and sharp of them value areas. So what you could see if you go back through the video of where I was looking for the entries and what type of entries I was looking for and what confirmations I was looking for, those were the things that really stood out to me and actually made me take a decision to take a trade. Even though not every trade was a winning trade, sometimes you're just going to have them losing streaks. Or in this case, we did make a few winning trades, and you could see that the winners triumphed above the losers. Even though I took less trades over a longer period of time, it was sustainable and it was enough to actually run me in for a win in the long run. So hope you took some value from that video, and if you have any questions, please don't feel afraid to drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Take care guys.